Meet me after slashing your wrist, or at the end if you so insist. I'm persistent when told to cease and desist with this blasphemous shit.
Hello, Chalet. If you're in the socio-political sphere, you may have noticed there's been a sharp rise in the last few years of what I call the anti-anti. What is an anti-anti? I'm glad you asked. In layman's terms, an anti-anti, someone who's against someone fighting against injustice. For example, Candace Owens and the other fine specimen of a human being, Officer Brandon Tatum. If you check both of their channels, they spend their whole time denying the existence of racism, whilst at the same time accusing black people of being racist, whilst at the same time justifying any police brutality against minorities, whilst at the same time spouting Christ. Whilst, and this is the being black. The new kid on the block is named Pearl. She is to feminism what Candace Owens is to black people. So I was on YouTube today, late night in the studio, I woke up groggy, flicked on YouTube, and her video was the first one on my timeline. And it said something about delusional woman or something. So I clicked on it. I was very curious, and I hadn't actually watched the video of hers all the way through. My heart was...
Okay, but it's based off of what women say.
But how
Correct.
would you not believe...
Can you just
yeah,
say
of course,
yes
of course. But who would you... In that
Okay.
situation,
Okay.
would you not believe them?
Okay, you keep flipping this.
No, I'm asking you. I'm saying
yeah,
yes.
exactly.
I'm saying
keep
yes.
asking Pearl,
I'm
but
saying
Pearl's
same yes.
asking you a
And
question.
I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes.
I was triggered. I'll be honest. Use it against me, cool. But I was 100% triggered watching this episode. It's horrific. We're talking about sexual assault, first of all, rape. So the way they got the show set up, I don't know if it's always like this, but this particular episode is you got Pearl on one side of the room, lead questionnaire, lead interrogator, should we say. We got two other people on the other side of the room, one girl, one boy. Then we got three people on the couch in the center. I'm guessing they're the guests. The girl on the right of women being raped was sat in the middle of two fellas. Now, apparently the fellas, I think, are guests, but one of them kept joining in also. So at times, there was four people against this one woman, talking over her, dismissing her points, trying to humiliate her, trying to make her sound silly.
This is
it's your ability to understand data and trends.
This is what makes me laugh about these sort of discussions.
There's no
is because
flip.
then
We're
it
just
turns
talking
into
about facts.
what do you think every man's like this?
We're just talking about facts.
I never said that. I never
You're
ever
using-
said
you're
that.
using
use the
smaller numbers.
the right words and say,
Sometimes
You're using
I
rare
talk with-
occasions to
Okay,
justify.
okay.
One second. One second, let Pearl speak. Let Pearl speak.
Can I just read something? So just going off of the
It was like literally a visual representation of from after the rape. I know, it's insane, isn't it? It's literally a visual representation for what happens to a woman from after a rape, if she's brave enough to attempt to take the case forward to the judge's decision. Nobody in that room was prepared to actually listen to her. They just wanted her to back down. It wasn't a debate. It didn't feel like a debate. She kept asking questions. They would dismiss her questions as if they weren't important, and they were extremely valid questions.
Whether it's relevant or not, that they got done. But I'm saying to you, how often do people go discredit?
Yeah,
if
you
you
got
watch those documentaries,
You have a need to be right.
If you watch those documentaries, there was countless women not believed because there weren't any
You have
evidence.
a
And look what
need
happened.
to be right on every single thing that you
Should
say.
because I'm here to discuss
No.
something.
Like, I'm sure your market is for the men, but still, think about the aesthetics of what you're doing. 4 against 1, and the one is standing up against rape culture. That looks horrible. That looks horrible. You can say you're not attacking women, that you're defending the rights of men, but that looks horrible, guy. They probably won't see this, but if they do, please address that.
So I know people. I know numerous people that have been raped and haven't reported it.
I know numerous people that bought Bitcoin at £10.
Let me just
Imagine being a youth watching that. You've been through something traumatic. You're not sure if you can tell somebody. Oh, and just to add weight to that particular statement, 75% of adults who were abused as a child did not tell anybody about the abuse. So a child watching this right now, who's shitting themselves, they don't know what to do. They're blaming themselves already. Was it something I did? And now they're watching something like this, and they're seeing the opinions of the world who Women bring it on themselves. Women should be more... Men should not be nasty bastards. End of story.
It's not looking at the bigger
But the thing
picture,
is,
though.
you don't know as a woman what it's like to be accused.
Oh,
hang on now,
100%.
of rape, right?
Of course.
And so as a man, yeah, we understand that that type of accusation, yeah, could destroy our whole life.
100%.
Yeah? If it
Essentially, being accused of rape is worse than being raped. Let that sink in. My general takeaway from this particular episode, I'm assuming they haven't experienced it themselves, but I got the impression that they genuinely do not consider rape as that serious of a deal. If a woman is raped, they're coming across, especially Pearl, she'll be inclined to think the woman probably brought it on herself.
From what you've said, if I was to go home tonight, get a bus, go down an alleyway and get brutally raped, your answer would be, well, you should have done something to not put yourself in the alleyway. But that is what you basically said. And that is bollocks.
What I would say is there are situations as a woman you should try not to put yourself in.
And some are unavoidable.
For example, she made a very valid point. If a lady likes BDSM, which has been in the news quite a lot recently because Andrew Tate says he was on it and everyone was all defending him, jumping on his dick, saying, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But Pearl pulled out a sucker punch.
How are you getting that evidence? Bear in mind, there was a thing up until recently no, can I just say something? That if I was brutally raped and you started, and I went to the police and then you started digging into my sexual history and found out that I liked rough sex, that goes against me. But yet that was consensual. So even that rule has only changed recently.
That would make sense.
But no, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't.
Yeah, if someone has an evidence of certain behavior patterns.
I wanted to be sick. In a country that considers itself progressive, 1 in 65 reports of rape even result in a charge. So if you watch this video, 64 people were lying. So you would like 64 women in jail because they cannot prove they were raped.
And so you made the claim that the majority of women that come forward, they're telling the truth, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay, but if that was true, then why don't the majority of girls that press charges, why don't they go to jail? If the evidence is there, they go to jail.
That a woman, if she's falsely accused, goes to jail?
No, I'm saying the majority of girls that press charges, it doesn't get.
And again, how do you prove you were raped? Do men get falsely accused? Of course they do. It happens in a lot of situations, not just sexual assault. But let me read you something from the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service. This is top word in the UK. Overall, in the CPS's view, false allegations of rape are serious but rare. They estimate that there is one prosecution for false rape claim out of 161 rape cases prosecuted. And this is just prosecution. This is just prosecution. Forget how many people were actually raped. This is all we could prosecute. So according to the best available data, false allegations make up 0.62% of all rape cases. This is what you're fighting for. 0.62%. Which means you're considerably more likely, as a man, to all the mandem in the room, you're considerably more likely to be raped than you are to be accused of being a rapist. So apart from, hello gorgeous, apart from financial gain, I'm struggling to understand what motive you have for demonizing women in society. You can say it's just feminism, but your titles have started to shift from feminist to modern woman to just woman. Can you fight for the rights of men? Of course. Do you do that at the expense of the rights of women? No.
However, just in terms of like the worldview, and like when we talk about how they built this world for us, we should be thankful. I don't look at it like that. I don't think it's a nice place to live for.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
Yeah, because you don't have a respect for men.
They say that Mahsa was arrested on September 13th when she was leaving a subway station in the capital, Tehran. Her brother was with her at the time. She was detained by the morality police. Healthy 22-year-old woman who was taken, and she never left that police station. She was transported to a hospital where she was in a coma for a few days, and then she was taken off life support.
You don't have a respect for men.
I do.
Actually.
Cool. Pearl, let's read the super chats.
We're living in a world right now where An Iranian athlete competed for her country without her hijab and was kidnapped in a foreign country and taken back to Iran, where she was forced to put out a fake video saying, everything's great. Women have no voice. And the tiny percentage of voice they have, groups like you are out here actively trying to attack. The anti-anti.
High-profile cases of sexual violence against women and girls in India seem to follow a similar trajectory. A brutal rape takes place, people protest, officials sometimes make changes in public admonishments, and then another horrific crime happens. Earlier this month, people rallied around the parents of a 9-year-old girl who was gang raped, allegedly murdered, and then cremated in New Delhi. 4 men, ranging in age from 48 to 63, were arrested, including a priest. And then, just 10 days later, a 6-year-old girl, also in Delhi, was allegedly raped by her neighbor and another man.
I mention Iran because rape and sexual assault isn't an English problem. It's not a British problem. It is a global problem. The same issues that affect women here affect women around the world. Only difference is, in England specifically, we tell ourselves that we're progressive. So in a country that considers itself progressive, 600,000 rapes a year to men and women and children. That's over 60 an hour. And yet, society often makes excuses for the perpetrator. Or victim blame. She brought it on herself. She dressed provocatively.
What I would say is there are situations as a woman you should try not to put yourself in.
But yet the stats are the same, if not elevated, in other countries where they don't have similar dress codes. I saw a TikTok recently where some man was ranting, talking about little girls and how they're dressing, and I almost got caught in the emotion because I have a daughter. It's like, yeah, I get what you said. And then I was thinking about it, no, that's blaming the girl. The girl should be able to dress however she wants. You are not going to blame her for a disgusting guy's actions and say, well, yeah, what he did was bad, but no buts. The same shit happens everywhere. Women don't dress the way they dress in England everywhere. How do women dress in Pakistan? How do women dress in Congo? The problem is with men. The young lady is absolutely right.
No, I would say press charges, but
but they never get done.
That's not necessarily true.
It is.
I mean, there are many situations where women have falsely.
Today's report acknowledges conviction rates will not improve overnight, but it's clear there are fundamental changes which can happen right away to stop women who've been raped feeling as much a victim of the system as a victim of the crime itself.
Actual aftermath and the police investigating it was worse than what happened. You know, I don't want other girls to go through what I had to go through with it.
If a friend came to you now and said she'd been raped, would you tell her to go to the police?
No.
So the CPS now don't even bother trying. 90+% of the cases that are brought forward, the CPS just say no. So 1 in 65 reports of rape end up in a charge. 40% because of social stigma, because of the fact that it's a virtually impossible thing to prove, because of reputations, humiliations, the investigations the police have to do into your history, which is what the lady was trying to talk about. So anything in the victim's history will paint her as a quote unquote slag. Therefore, any accusation she has to make is invalidated.
That would make sense.
But no, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't.
Yeah, if someone has an evidence of certain behavior patterns.
She also brought up another example of a college student, which I'm guessing is university in America, being accused of rape and getting kicked out of college. And the video surfaced in the corridor of the girl tugging on him. And she left it just as that, as if that somehow proves that she wasn't raped.
Okay, I'll give you an example. There was a guy in the U.S. He was in college, and a girl said that he raped her, or that he raped her, right? And then they released security footage of her pulling him back to the dorm, kissing him. He was pulling away from her. She still kissed him, pulling him back to her dorm, and he still got kicked out of college because she.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
but the thing is, I'm saying to you, that's terrible. I'm not saying he deserved that.
I don't know what kind of moral compass is in that room, but if a girl is all over me, all night, and then we get back to the hotel and she whispers, no, That's it. That is it. If I carry on, that is rape. How does she prove that? In your eyes, the three of you specifically, how would she prove that?
To you, the bottom line is, I would rather believe a liar than a rapist, and then that's it. That's it.
I'd rather believe a liar.
I'm not a believer. Like, I would rather wake up one morning and find out the person that I believed like is capable of that, as opposed to a man capable of rape.
I think that's easy to say when you're not the one in their shoes.
In their
right?
shoes,
yeah, I can
exactly.
imagine.
So this.
It's horrible, man. The things they say, the irony of the things they say, it's easy for you to say because you're not in their shoes. Guy, you are not in her shoes. You haven't got a hammer to your face and a dick in your pussy and a hand around your neck. So yes, and if we consider the fact that there's, this year, 800,000 rapes, 1% gets convicted, 0.6% are false allegations. 0.6% of false allegations. How many women get killed every year? All sexual violence. But because of that 0.6% of false allegations, you would rather believe a rapist than a liar, and you even think that's a gotcha moment. I'm with her, and I could be accused. I understand that.
Man is accused of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's more likely to have
That's
done
statistically backed.
Hang on.
What's stat?
If you could Google it, have a look.
You're just sexist.
No, I'm asking like.
You're a misandrist.
You're just
up
sexist.
and down.
Okay, so I just want to
And you
understand
actually have
what
a
the
son.
claim you made is.
Okay, go on.
She's not being vindictive or anything like that. All she's trying to say, and stats back it up, chances are, if a woman has said she's been raped, she was probably raped. Facts. Whether we can prove it in a court of law, as Miss Pearl would require, is a different matter. If a woman has been raped anywhere around the world, if she says she's been raped, she was probably raped. So yes, I would be more inclined to believe an anonymous woman over an anonymous man. And if you wouldn't, you can only be considered a misogynist, and you cannot be considering women as equal.
I think for me, it's your inability to understand that your experiences or the things you, because in my experience, people like you tend to chase certain narratives because it's like what you want to hear. You want to reaffirm.
Same.
You want to reaffirm the idea that everyone is experiencing these kind of these horrors.
Confirmation bias.
When you look at the data and it says, 100 people experience that essay in London, and you realize that like 150,000 people died from cancer and almost 400,000 people died from everything else. You discount all that, all those other causes of mortality, all those issues, and say, but 100 people died in 1 year, and that's a sign that this
don't you believe there's good
is a
guys in the
massive
world?
issue.
100, but this is where
That Delhi was the worst megacity in the world for women when it came to sexual violence, rape, and harassment. But she wouldn't be able to tell that by looking at the number of reported rape cases.
Let's just take that premise. Okay, like so that's your argument that there's more rape and it's not reported. How would you know?
How would you know it doesn't happen?
Assume every man is a predator.
Hang on.
So don't flip the question on me.
Sorry. I know people. I know numerous people that have been raped and haven't reported it.
Numerous people that bought Bitcoin at £10.
Let me just.
Across India, government data shows that there are only about 33,000 reports of rape of women and children in 2018. Compared to other nations, this number is low and suspect. What this likely shows is that rape and sexual assault is grossly underreported in India. In fact, one analysis by the website Mint shows that when comparing reported rapes to the National Family Health Survey, where surveyors asked 80,000 women questions on sexual and physical violence, it's estimated that as much as 99% of sexual violence cases go unreported.
The highest number of rapes ever recorded by a British police was in the year ending 22, March this year. 70,330 rapes were recorded by the police. Remember I said only 10 to 15% are reported to the police? For an average year, we're looking over 600,000 rapes. This year, we're looking 700,000 to 800,000 rapes and sexual assaults. 1/3 of which is against children. 2/3 of which happen in a familiar surrounding. Only 10% of rapists are strangers. If you're raped, you're going to know who raped you. If you're raped, you're going to know the surroundings. You're going to know the room you're in. chances are it will probably be in your house that you'll have to continue to keep going back to. 21% of all girls, not women, 21% of all girls and 11% of all boys experience sexual assault.
Let me just get this straight. So you're going off of word of mouth.
No, personal experience, who I know.
Okay. So
not word of
people,
mouth.
okay. People you know.
Yeah.
How did you know? Were you there?
This is my major fucking question for everybody in that fucking room who is against this girl. At what age does the misandrist come out? Because 1/3 of all rapes and sexual assaults are against children. So are you inclined to believe those and not the adults?
How did you know? Were you there?
Or do you dismiss the children also? And if you're inclined to believe the children, 75% of adults who were abused as children did not tell anybody. So the ones that told, do you believe them or not? And if you believe them, at what age do you stop believing them? Is it when they get their 16th birthday card? And the same rules apply. How do we prove it with a child? When you've got society, they can paint pictures. Listen to how this guy talks about a 12-year-old. And he's a policeman, or he used to be a policeman.
Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna tell y'all some shit I ain't never told nobody. So this is a very exclusive interview. I lost my virginity at 12 years old.
That's the first problem. That's the first problem. This woman is broken. I mean, you know, when I say broken, I mean getting exposed to sexuality at that early an age will completely destroy a woman's confidence and make her use that as a tool or not understand fully what that is that she's using as a tool to gain relationships.
So even for a 12-year-old, it's possible for our society to paint her as the fucking villain.
We, the police, were not there for you when you desperately needed us.
Among the report findings, it highlighted the case of a 12-year-old girl who went to police to report a sexual assault. Instead of being helped, she was ignored and turned away. And later that same night, she was repeatedly raped by multiple men.
How did you know? Were you there? And why would you want them to be able to prosecute someone without evidence?
Because certain things never have any evidence.
Wow, okay, so
that's really bad.
So you think they should...
Her smugness, they're not trying to find answers or solutions. They're just trying to beat the girl down. Can you agree with that? Does it sound like they're trying to understand each other? Or does it sound like one is even prepared to give ground regularly, but the rest are not? They're just trying to pick up words, find highlights, and shoot them down. Wow. What's that in a debate? 3-on-1 debate, and you're making noises like that? So how do we sort this? Because you both, even though Pearl is being smug, she has a valid point. People getting charged with no evidence. But that is the fucking awkward shit about rape. So take the smugness off your face, please.
And all of that leads, the Victims Commissioner Vera Baird said last year, to rape effectively being decriminalised. That sexual predators act with impunity because they know they are so unlikely to be prosecuted.
That is the awkward shit about rape. Most rapes are men against women. Most rapes are perpetrated by someone you know. Most rapes happen in the home or somewhere you feel safe. Familiarity breeds rape. What do we do? How do we get past this?
Like, was you there?
Answer the question.
Was you there?
I don't.
What do you mean? Was I there?
Answer the question.
No, I wasn't there. Sorry, I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
So it's based off of what?
They've said.
It's based off of what they said, correct?
Most children who are abused statistically are more likely to be raped and abused when they're adults. 1 in 2 women who have been raped or sexually abused, it happens to them more than once. 1 in 2 rapes is carried out by their partner or ex-partner. Virtually impossible to prove. For every 4 women, 1 has been raped. Wait, isn't it like 1 in 10 people are gay? Yeah, roughly 1 in 10 people are gay. So more women are raped than there are gay people. And if you're homophobic, gay people are everywhere.
No, in terms of
then
that power.
why is R. Kelly in jail?
How long did that take? I was in school when that sex tape came out with him graping, with him doing whatever he done to that girl. I was in school.
Okay, but
That's
what
mad.
happened at the end
How
of the
long
day?
did it take?
What happened?
How long did it take?
I don't know.
How many women weren't believed?
I don't know.
How many
I don't
women
know.
weren't
I
believed
don't
because they
know.
didn't have evidence?
What happened at the end of the day?
How long?
Tell me who in that room believes what they're arguing for. She asked a genuine question. How long did it take? And Pearl very dismissively, I don't know, as if it wasn't important. R. Kelly first come to our attention around 93, 94 with that tape where he's pissing on a girl. He then married 15-year-old Aaliyah because he thought he impregnated her. That's abuse. That's rape. He's only just gone to prison. So what the young lady was desperately trying to ask you was, what about all the victims from when he was first accused to when he went to prison? Don't they matter?
At the end of the day, is he not in jail? Because if
they didn't need to be. Bill Cosby, how long? 40 odd years. He was hitting messy numbers, 40 years. If he'd have been charged after the third or fourth even, he would have saved over 40 women from going through that vile experience.
He go to jail?
How long did
he go to jail?
But that, of course, no, he went to jail. We all know that. But how long did that take? How many? That video went to court and it got thrown out.
Okay. Is he in jail now?
Yes. How many women did he hurt after that first video came
because
out?
it's innocent until proven guilty.
He had the video.
Because it's innocent. Because it's innocent until proven guilty.
Did anyone know that they had the video?
I don't know.
I'm telling you, they know. I'm telling you, they know.
But I'm saying at the end of the day, is he not in jail? Because if you said he could, your claim was that he could get that people with money and power can get away with
Harvey
anything.
Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, where are they now?
How long did?
One's just trying to be smug. One's trying to save lives. Yes, they ended up in jail. First being brought to the attention of law and order, and finally going to jail. Just between Cosby, Weinstein, and Epstein, we're talking 200 to 300 women that didn't need to be victims. Don't they matter? That's what she's saying. But then she's a misandrist.
How long did it take?
Okay, sometimes justice
Why do you keep answering a question with a question?
Because what's the point of whether it's relevant or not that they got dumped? But I'm saying to you, how often do people go discredit?
If you watch
those documentaries,
you have a need to be right.
If you watch those documentaries, there was countless women not believed because there weren't any evidence. And look what happened.
You have a need to be right on every single thing that you say.
Because I'm here to discuss something I'm passionate about.
Even when you're wrong,
I don't feel like you're trying to listen to anyone.
She's literally saying they weren't believed, and he's just ignoring everything she's saying just to make a snaky comment about she needs to be. She is right. And the other girl said it doesn't matter. It does matter. Because how many extra victims were there? Don't any of the victims count? It's what I'm saying. It's clear they don't consider rape as a serious issue. It doesn't matter. We're talking about hundreds of women between just the three she gave from when they were first active to when they got convicted. We're talking hundreds that did not need to happen if they'd have got convicted sooner. How is that a wrong statement? But yet, you got a need to always be right. You guys don't want to concede anything. And she's trying to converse with all of you. And all you guys are clearly trying to do is trigger her and get her to say something you can use on YouTube.
Okay. But this is just where you're going back to. You just believe women without evidence. And these are.
I would rather believe a woman than a man.
And then listen. And in this case, you don't even know them.
Yeah.
So you can't even make the argument. The case you just made, where you said there are footballers that have gotten away with it. You're believing women you don't even know.
Evidence means nothing. R. Kelly was first accused. Not even accused. In 1994, R. Kelly married Aaliyah. She was 15. He married her because he thought he got her pregnant. That's rape. That's rape. That's child abuse and rape. He didn't even go to court for anything until 2008. And he got off with that with witness intimidation.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Did anyone know that they had the video?
I don't know.
He was roaming scot-free after raping a 15-year-old child for 30 years. Even with evidence. That videotape did the rounds before everyone had the internet. Most of us saw that tape. Evidence means fuck all. when it seems to come from certain members of the community. The threshold seems to be higher. So how do we solve this? Not by attacking feminists. This is a society issue.
I don't believe people.
Can I use an analogy, right? Where because you're saying basically you believe all women, right?
No, but
okay.
this is
Hang on,
what's
wait.
That's what you said.
You basically are saying, but you believe all women, right? And and I tell you why that's scary for me as a black male.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No, hang on. I'm just gonna say I'm scared for me as a black male because I don't know if you know the case of Emmett Till.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Okay, where a woman said that he
100%.
sexually assaulted her to some degree, right? And they were living at a time. Essayed to some degree, or even wolf whistled, or whatever it was, right? And because she was a woman, and like you say, she was a white woman. She was.
And Mr. Emmett Till guy, that was a completely inappropriate use of his analogy. He was killed because he was black. You did not need to bring that into that conversation to shut her down even more. He was killed because he was black. She could have said anything about him. Anyone could have said anything about him. Yes, she made an accusation, but he was killed because he was black. And that shit still happens today for various different subjects. It's happening right now in Iran. They were waiting for the opportunity to hurt a black person. Just like there are people walking about now waiting for an opportunity to hurt a trans person or to hurt a gay person. All they need is the ammunition.
Like, how are you gonna tell me now then, if a man doesn't inside me, or there's no DNA, or say there is DNA but there's no match, tell me what evidence you would need to believe it.
Typically, if you're fighting,
Yeah.
If you're getting raped. So
Yeah.
typically I would imagine there's cuts,
Yeah.
there's like bruises, that sort of thing.
See, again, she's throwing up arguments from the 1920s. First of all, as I've already stated, 75% of adults who were abused as a child did not tell anybody for a myriad of reasons. Shame, embarrassment, humiliation, fear that nobody will believe them. That doesn't sound like somebody who's going to immediately get up out the bed and walk straight to the police station.
We, the police, were not there for you when you desperately needed us.
So where are these marks going to be? This isn't a burglary. This is one of the most intrusive events that can happen to a person, anybody, and most people go into shock. And then on top of that, considering the accent you have, how are you instantly just dismissing the thought of weapons? How can you discount guns? How can you discount weapons? How can you discount intimidation? How can you discount fear? How can you discount shock? How can you discount survival instinct? All because they need to keep in mind that later down the line, a judge is going to require all this information and still probably won't believe it. Just over 1% of all rapes reported to the police even end up in a charge. And considering the page you have that demonizes women, makes the case that men are above women, blah, 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 and all of that shite. How can a woman fight back? How are you expecting all women to fight back? A woman's walking down a path. Someone grabs her from behind. Is she Jackie Chan? Gonna start flipping around doing next moves? Or is she fucked?
To believe the evidence. So to wait until the evidence comes out. And,
Well,
if there's no evidence, then I would side on the fact that it probably didn't happen.
5 in 6 women do not report sexual assault or rape. Loads of reasons, obviously. Humiliation, embarrassment, fear of judgment, fear of not being believed, knowledge that there's a very good chance that the person's gonna get away with it anyway, and you'll just look like a crazy woman. 4 in 5 men also do not report being raped for the exact same reasons. The stigma. A man being raped by another man, emasculated. Can he look his friends in the eye anymore? This one's a particularly sore one for me. 9 in 10 girls and young women, 9 in 10, say sexist name calling and being sent unwanted dick pics and other images of a sexual nature happens.
Is a consequence of all of this.
No, it's not a consequence. It's I think it's
no accountability.
It's like you're justifying your poor behavior.
No, at all.
By blaming it on a very small group of men.
So what
poor behavior?
Your
accountability.
The things that come out of your mouth are very misandristic.
Yes.
But what's my poor behavior?
Discrimination against men.
9 in 10. And you're here with arrogance talking about she's a misandrist. My daughter's just coming of age now. We're very close. Very close. She's got a few medical conditions. She has therapy, different things. She told the therapist that if she was in danger, if there was anything she needed to talk to somebody about, she would talk to me because she trusts me. That's how much she trusts me. She doesn't consider me snooping. She considers me looking out for her. At times, I've had several apps that she's got on my phone. She would log in on my phone. One day on TikTok, I got a notification. And this is before I was on TikTok. I've only been on TikTok for the last year. Normally I didn't look at it because I think she was about 11 or 12 at this stage. So I didn't think anything nefarious. We were still innocent up until this point. When I opened a fucking picture, it was a fucking dick to my 11-year-old daughter. Thank fuck I opened that. There was so many things wrong with that situation. Say I never opened it, right? Think of the position she would have been in. Luckily, we're close. But how close can you be to someone and still be confident that they're not going to skits out if you show them a picture of a fucking dick on your phone? How do you know? It was only 10 years ago, parents were telling their kids to shut up when the kids were trying to say, uncle's abusing me. So this 11-year-old girl would have been sat there not knowing what to fucking do. Does she keep that to herself? She's emotional. She would have been bawling and she would have been scared. So I could all be now still walking about not knowing that my daughter's being sent dick pics by anonymous people. Luckily, I did see it. For her, I mean. So I called up her mum. I asked to speak to her and I told her that I've seen it. And as soon as I said that I'd seen it, she burst into tears. I told her, don't worry. It's not you. Don't worry, gorgeous. Don't worry. And then I spoke to her mum and I explained to her mum what happened. And I had to call up the school the next day. Nothing. Nothing. We know nothing. The only advice I fucking got was to make sure the picture was removed from the phone because I didn't want to have a picture of a fucking used thing on my phone. I didn't even think of that. I'm thinking I've got to go and show, and they're telling me to delete the picture.
I said to believe the evidence, so to wait until the evidence comes out.
As a man, I'm thinking, but it hasn't been proven.
So what do girls do? And at what stage, Pearl specifically, at what stage does it, because I know that wasn't a lie because I fucking saw it. So at what stage does what my daughter goes through become questionable? Is it when she turns 16? Is it earlier or later?
You're like narrow-minded about everything you
Not
said.
at all. You don't.
Like,
you don't know me. You can watch stuff like this, and you can see whether it's murder or what, and it'll be discounting on evidence.
I'll tell you what. Do you know what happened to me today?
Go on.
Saw Bigfoot.
Instead of thinking you achieved something, try and achieve something. How do we figure this out? 40% of people don't even tell anybody they've been raped. Because there's nothing they can do. You can go to the police station now. They won't even send it to CPS because they probably won't get enough evidence.
As a man, I'm thinking, but it hasn't been proven.
And if you listen to Pearl talking all the way through this video...
How did you know? Were you there?
It's clear you need a shitload of evidence to prove it wasn't consensual. One word against another.
We're human. We can control them.
Of course, this is what I say to men.
So how do we do this? Stop beating her down. Offer up solutions and how we figure this out. Because more women suffer at the hands of men than men are accused of rape. More men are raped than men are accused of rape. How do we address that?
And she told me that when she went to uni, you would have to take a marriage certificate to the doctor to get contraception, which is weird.
We should ban it, actually. Contraception, yeah.
I think we should too.
Yeah,
why?
I think we should ban it.
It has weird effects on women.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. It's got weird effects on women, but then you're going to have a lot of unwanted pregnancies.
No, or you could just, make better sexual decisions,
Or
the numbers don't make sense. For the attitude of the people in the room, the numbers do not make sense. A boy being accused of rape, he didn't do it, is tragic. But it never happens anywhere near as much as girls being abused. And we're not going to do comparative pain, because pain is pain. So we'll just stick to the numbers. And the numbers suggest that your arrogance on the subject is not justified. Women are victims around the world and they have no voice. And it starts fucking early. How do we address this?
You could just, make better sexual decisions,
Or just...
When does the threshold go from believing a child to disbelieving a woman? That would be my main question to you. Or do you not believe children?
Or how do you think society would run if we believed everybody? Just wait. If we believed everybody based on what they said without any evidence?
Well, I think that's bollocks, but we're not talking about that. We're not talking about everything.
So recently, some women have been able to take advantage of the fact that we are starting to accept that there are a lot of dirty bastards out there. But where's the evidence? So by your logic, why are we upset with Jimmy Savile? What evidence can they have found from the 1970s to suddenly convict him in 20-something?
How long did it take?
Okay, sometimes justice
Why do you keep
time.
answering a question with a question?
Because what's the point of whether it's relevant or not that they got done? But I'm saying to you, how often do people go discredit?
Yeah, if you
watch those documentaries,
you have a need to be right.
If you watch those documentaries, there was countless women not believed because there weren't any evidence. And look what happened.
You have a need to be right on every single thing that you say.
Because I'm here to discuss something I'm passionate about.
Even when you're
I don't
wrong.
feel like you're trying to listen.